Yeah, hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Bitcoin, yeah, pretty much as forecast. There isn't a lot happening at the moment on the weekend here. It's Easter weekend. Usually on the weekend you see little volume anyway because a lot of the bigger players are on the weekend. A lot of institutions are closed. So it's mainly less volume in the market generally across the board. We can see the other markets like the stock market is closed on the weekend. And on top of that, we had a bank holiday. So, where we could see some volatility is tomorrow before the weekly candle closes. We saw that in the last couple of weeks, and we saw some volatility and some larger candles before the weekly candle close, just before midnight UTC tomorrow. So that's an important factor to keep in mind. Overall, at the moment, Bitcoin hardly moving at all. The crypto market in general, yes, there are always exceptions, but crypto market in general also hardly moving. I think they're waiting for a signal from Bitcoin to really start to move, because we see a lot of cryptos currently move into apexes of their triangles, and they are currently in certain patterns, and there are certain breakouts possible. But to get a breakout, they need probably that signal of Bitcoin. So let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart, because it's getting a bit interesting, and it might seem boring, but it's still getting interesting. Because the first thing that I'm looking at here is, first of all, this Elliott Wave count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then possibly the next sell of 5. To do that, the current price should not get above 41,000. Let me see, 41,550. So basically the price should not move above the wave 4 again. If it does that imminent sell-off scenario here, where we would, where we assume that this here could be the wave 1 already, the wave down, that this here is a wave 2 to the upside, and that we will move down in a wave 3, that would be invalidated. Not a problem. The overall sell-off scenario is not invalidated. What is invalidated then, though, is that we have here that wave 1 already, because it came down quite impulsively, that this here is the wave 2 correction, and then the wave 3 down, because the wave 2 cannot go above the beginning of the wave 1. We would then have to relabel, and the wave 4 would just move here a little bit to the right. That is certainly a possibility that we do that here. My primary expectation, I said that in a previous video, would be that we actually will come once more into that green area and actually will move a little bit higher. And the reason for that is that we have not yet reached the ideal area or the ideal level for the wave 4. So if we draw the fibs, you will see that the ideal level for a wave 4 retracement has not yet been reached, and therefore we have to primarily expect that the price is moving a little bit higher. It doesn't need to, but it would be likely. And the reason is that most wave 4s will retrace to the 38.2% fib level here at 42,400 roughly. And again, hope you understand, but I have to assume that basically because this is the most likely scenario. It is most likely a wave 4 will retrace to that level. So why would I say it's probably already going to turn around? No, there is a possibility, yes, and it turned down quite impulsively. So please understand this is possible. Don't bet everything on we retrace up here and then we'll turn around. We can already turn around. It's a very difficult market environment at the moment. It is really challenging at the moment, and there are various possibilities. We are not in a clear trend, because we are in this higher level channel. This makes it very challenging in the market at the moment. It's frustrating a lot of people, but as I usually say, when you're a trader, you need to be patient. You need to wait for your opportunities. You can't just go in because you think it's now worth doing something. You need to wait for a clear signal. In my opinion, at the moment, we don't have a clear signal yet. We are waiting here for the markets moving sideways, especially on a weekend like that. What is certainly interesting here, and just to show you here, in addition to what I just talked about, that here on the volume indicator down here, pretty much since the 11th of April, we have seen declining volume. Now, that is a sign that we're going to soon see here a breakout, because this is an indicator like many others as well. So you'll see here that the volume is contracting, and normally when that happens, you typically see a breakout, you see a pump or something, and this could happen when a decision is made here where the price is heading, because here what we have is a potential W pattern. So here, yeah, and when you get here a breakout above that neckline, and the neckline is 41,500, which would basically invalidate that 1-2 scenario that I just showed you, then what would be the price target for that wave? And let's take a look, because we take the height of that, from the low to the height of the neckline, we add it to a potential breakout point, which would be here, that neckline. So let me just make that a bit higher. And that would take us to 44,000 roughly, and that would be just below the wave 1 low. That would still be a possible wave 4. The wave 4 should just ideally not get into the price range of the wave 1. So this would be possible. This would just purely be the price target of that pattern. Take them with a pinch of salt. They are not always accurate, but it's good for an orientation in the market. So that would be the bullish scenario. To do that, yeah, we would need increased volume, and the price would need to break above 41,500. Of course, it's up to you if you want to go long at this point, but it's a neckline that will be broken if you see increased volume. In my opinion, I think there are chances that we then will move higher. Personally, I'm not taking that trade, because we are working here against the higher level trend. In my opinion, the higher level trend is still down. First of all, you see it here, yeah, coming down very impulsively, but also overall that whole correction, in my opinion, isn't yet finished. So in my opinion, we're coming down here quite impulsively. What we're doing now is just correcting it, and it takes ages here because we came down so impulsively, and a lot of the indicators were just oversold down here at 33k. We're now correcting that. In the next move, we are heading down. And this is again still my primary expectation here, that we are going to break out here to the downside and end in a range between 20 and 29k. We see here that this breakout could be possible below, in my opinion, 39.2k. That is the low here of that wave 3. When we break below that, this should really be very bearish and actually trigger that sell-off. We can see on the VPVR indicator how important that support level is, because you can see here a massive spike on the historical volume VPVR support level indicator, yeah, and yeah, that is huge. And 39k, there's a lot of buying activity on Telegram for the channel members. I shared yesterday some data from Into the Block, where they also show there's huge buying volume at 39k. To get through that requires a lot of power, yeah, a lot of selling power. And someone asked yesterday in the comments, and by the way, I read them all. I don't have time to reply to them all. I give my best, but can't reply to so many comments. But still, I read them still all. So yeah, if you post something, I do read it, even though I sometimes might not respond to it, because yes, I can't physically. However, someone asked, if this sell-off is imminent, why are we not doing it already? It takes so long. And in my opinion, that is one of the reasons, because there is so much buying power. I mean, it's a fight between the bulls and the bears, and it of course isn't guaranteed to work out. Yeah, TA is no fortune telling. It's no, I don't have the crystal ball and so on. We can only go with probability. So of course there are two forces in the market. There's fear and greed. There's buyers and sellers, and of course the buyers give their best to hold the current prices. In my opinion, only we are going to see those lower prices purely because of probabilities and what Bitcoin is usually doing, and because ideally an ABC correction, an expanded flat, ends with a lower wave C. Yeah, and someone also asked, if we go into that region here, if we go down to 20k, would it be the first time that Bitcoin breaks the trend? No, I don't think so, because why would it break the trend? We are still historically, if you zoom out, the uptrend is of course still intact. Yeah, massively. I mean, if you go to 20k, why would it break the trend? It wouldn't. Yeah, look at it. We still make higher lows compared to what we did before. And also take a look at the COVID low. That, if you want it like that, it also broke the trend, if you want to see it like that. But that's what I mean. Bitcoin makes these expanded flats here as well. You moved high, made a low, came up, made a lower low. Okay, so this is what you do. You make these ABC corrections. You make these lower lows here as well. Moved up, came down in a wave A, moved up in a wave B, lower low. Okay, so that is what we're looking for, that lower low compared to the wave A. But overall, you're of course still in an uptrend. Very important is, in my opinion, the 200-week moving average. That has historically been a important support level for Bitcoin. As you can see here in yellow now, it has provided support for Bitcoin throughout. I think one of the few times it was actually broken, but only briefly, was during the COVID low. And you can see where that is running. So if that comes into the yellow target area, it might be at 23, 25K or whatever. And of course it can be broken briefly. It did that before. I'm not suggesting it needs to be broken, but anywhere in this target area, we could find support and start to turn around. This is what we did historically. Therefore, no, in no means the trend is broken. You can see we're still above the 200-week moving average. That is a long-term trend indicator, long-term moving average that has historically provided support for Bitcoin. And yeah, I mean, we're not breaking the trend. You know, people always think that a price needs to make higher lows consistently, but it doesn't do it. You see it here, it doesn't do it. Typically only when you finally make a lower low, then you can start going again, right? And here as well, then you started to move to new all-time highs. And the same here, and that was back in 2013. Same pattern. You moved up, down, high, lower, low, okay? So you're doing that. Bitcoin is doing that. That is Bitcoin's behavior. And therefore, on these higher level corrections, I don't see a high probability that Bitcoin could just make a higher low and then continue to move up. If a market has adopted a certain behavior, it typically sticks to it. And I'd be surprised, and I would really be surprised if Bitcoin doesn't make that lower low. So, of course, I'm not reading here into tea leaves or whatever. It is just by looking at the market behavior and what Bitcoin has done historically, and what would be, as per the Elliott Wave method as well, be the most likely market behavior. So of course it could be wrong. Probability to go to new all-time highs from here, I would only give it a 15%. I mentioned that before. Of course it's possible. Anything is possible in financial markets. If anybody says it will never happen, that normally shows that, yeah, they've got a very, very biased view. Of course, we need to be prepared for that. And that is why I started to dollar cost average in below 40K for Bitcoin anyway. Still leaving money aside for the major dip. But I want to secure myself for the possibility that we also go higher. Okay. And then we, of course, have the alternative scenario where if Bitcoin breaks above this channel here, that we can get into this area first between 55 and 65K. But even here, that would then be an A, B, C correction. Even here, I would see the price turn around and get into the yellow area. So in both of my two main scenarios, I see the price end in this yellow target area. And there's a very, very little possibility, of course, that Bitcoin goes to new all-time highs. But, you know, I always compare it with, of course, Bitcoin could also go to zero. So anything is always possible. But the question is the likelihood. And I don't think Bitcoin is going to zero. I also don't think Bitcoin is going to new all-time highs. I see these as the two most likely scenarios, and I'm in favor of the sell-off straight away. Hopefully that makes sense. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. If you really like the content, then check out the channel membership. And also make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And for both, you can find the links in the description. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.